Welcome to Business Influencers. Hope everyone is having a great week. Again, we want to thank you each and every week for coming in to listen to TALRadio.org. And again, Business Influencers, we're approaching our 2-year anniversary. Is it hard to believe? It's been almost 2 years. We want to thank you listeners each and every week joining us here at Business Influencers. And we are committed to your success and raising your level of influence to the next level. Feel free to reach out to us with any input or insight to subject matter experts or content that you would like to see on the show, and we will make sure that we go out and deliver that exactly to you. Today's show is being brought to you today by Alumni Direct. Alumni Direct is a new social media community platform dedicated to bringing alumni together from all different generational types, an opportunity to rekindle old relationships and meet new people for the first time. This is a membership-based program, and it takes all the noise out of social media, allowing you to generate genuine, authentic relationships on your time and an opportunity that you may perhaps meet your next business partner or land your next new job opportunity. If you'd like some more information about Alumni Direct, check them out at alumnidirect.com. That's alumnidirect.com. Well, we got a great show for you today. We're going to be talking about shedding light on EQ and its role with success. You know, EQ is a key ingredient for professional and personal success. It encompasses our self-awareness, emotional regulation, motivation, empathy, stress management, and social skills. And when you have the right guidance and trust your own initiative, you can increase your emotional EQ, which will allow you to live an aligned life and business in harmony. And we're going to be talking with Wendie Lloyd today. She's going to be shedding some valuable insight into this area. She empowers professional women to discover their purpose, conquer burnout, and experience fulfillment in the second phase of their life. With over 20 years experience as a psychotherapist, women's mindset coach, business EQ specialist, best-selling author, inspirational speaker, and host of numerous leadership events and retreats, she has created a unique program to get women on path, living the second half of their life with freedom and energy to live in alignment, mind, body, and soul. She holds a master's degree in counseling psychology from Santa Clara University, located in Santa Clara, California. She began her career as a psychotherapist in San Jose, California, before moving to North Carolina in 2005. She started her private practice, Lake Norman Counseling Services, PLLC, in 2006, and continues working with clients who have experienced trauma or grief in Huntersville, North Carolina, and virtually. In 2013, she trained at the College of Executive Coaching based in Santa Barbara, California, and became a business and life coach. She opened Coaching What Matters, LLC, in 2013 to guide women in transition to overcome their fears and discover their purpose. She also helps small businesses launch, grow, and increase their market and bottom line. She recently expanded her coaching business and created Wendie Lloyd International as a business EQ specialist. She assists corporations and their leaders to increase workplace cohesiveness, productivity, and profits. And without further ado, we welcome Wendie Lloyd to the show. Wendie, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you, Christopher, for having me on your show.
It's great to have you here. Such a pleasure. So let's just talk a little bit about, emotional intelligence. People have probably been hearing what that is, but so many people probably have an idea, but maybe perhaps really don't understand EQ and how it can really transform our lives, and particularly women, that are approaching that, that midlife time in their life and making, maybe transitioning from a career into a business, or maybe they're getting out of an unhealthy marriage. And now you're looking at how are they going to put together the second half of their life to live on their terms. If you could talk a little bit about the concept of EQ in general.
Yeah, so EQ, like you said, I think there's more and more awareness around EQ. As a psychotherapist for years, EQ has been on my radar for a long time. And EQ is really, it's all encompassing. It's not just about, empathy, which I think a lot of people, when I say EQ, their first thought is, talk about empathy, or they talk about social skills, but it really encompasses, it's our overall emotional regulation and our self-awareness, really, how we communicate to others, how we view others. Are we able to look at someone else's perspective on a situation. It also impacts our stress management as well as, decision making. So it really impacts our lives in a pretty big way, and our relationships as well. And, working with women, with professional women who are, at that kind of transitional midlife point, right? Where we're evaluating where we've been, where we are currently, and really saying, are we on the path to where we want to be? How do I feel? Do I feel like I'm in alignment? Do I feel, in harmony, really, with, you might be very successful with your career, but yet, you're miserable at home, or you're so exhausted by the time you get home, you don't have energy for anything else. And all of that lies within that, where are we with our awareness, our emotional IQ? So that's really kind of, how it's really all encompassing where, and I feel like there's more and more awareness of that, perhaps because we are more interconnected.
Yeah. What would you say, Wendy, when you look at, when we're talking about, role in life's in success, there's many roles, these women can be moms, they can be wives, they can be sisters, they can be single, and, they can hold a certain title or run a business. So there are various roles. What would be some of the first steps that, in this case, if we're just narrowing it down to women that are at that midlife level, what would be some first steps that you would recommend to them to start, utilizing, the concepts of EQ to help them move them forward?
Well, yes, that's great. Great question. Where do we begin with all this? And the first is really awareness. So it's awareness of where are we currently. Yeah. There's a lot of ways to do that. There's assessment. There's an amazing assessment that I utilize with a lot of my clients. And just really kind of digging deep, taking time to really look inside and evaluate those different areas of your life. Like you said, success personally, professionally, and it's different for everybody. It looks different for everybody. So really defining that for yourself of, what does that look like for me? And examining the different areas of your life. We often start with, I call it the life circle. And it's all the pieces that encompass who you are. And are those areas, where are you feeling fulfilled in those areas? Where are you putting your energy? And do you need to kind of shift some of that around, to feel more in harmony, more in sync with really what you want to do?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love the fact that you said awareness. And do you feel like right now there's a lot of information about EQ and, there's a lot of awareness sessions, but do you feel like it's really that there's just not enough being shared at a point that's connecting at a deeper level, that it's one of those things that we have to continue to keep creating the awareness and not just assuming what people, especially women, that they just understand what it is?
Yes, exactly. And I think there is kind of a misconception, really, that in general, as a general rule, women are, might have a higher EQ, for example, than men, or women are more attuned, somehow to, to what's going on inside internally. And it's really, I know that my focus is with women, but it's really across the board. I think men, women, you have some men that are more, in tune with what's going on internally as well. So I think just in general as humans, but I do think for women, there is it's really a misunderstanding of what emotional IQ is. Like I said, it's really all encompassing of where we're at. So that, that awareness, that self-regulation, being able to, regulate your emotions and not fly off the handle, or not get overly, overthinking things, overly sensitive to things. So really learning, I think we have a long way to go in educating, what this really means and what it looks like, and the impact on professional relationships as well as personal relationships.
Yeah, so true. So true. Yeah. And in terms of like, EQ, is this something that we got to start with one thing and then begin to build from that? But this is like something that we don't do once in a while, we do every day. And is there anything that you can suggest for women that are really looking to tap more into their emotional intelligence and begin to now see the benefits of what it can help them do in terms of getting that alignment in their lives, in their careers, businesses, that the harmony and the fulfillment, the passion that they are seeking are just going to be a result of their commitment to the EQ itself each and every day?
So first of all, I want to mention that, EQ, you can, improve or increase your EQ. So it's with that awareness, right? With that conscious effort. So it is something, like our IQ is kind of set, right? Our IQ is what it is. Our EQ, we can work on that. And one way is our habits, our daily habits. I do a lot with, how do you start your day? When you wake up, what's the first thing you do? What's the first thing on your mind? And how do you end your day? Those two things, I think, are really key in making a lot of those shifts. So it's how you approach the day, how you're ending the day. That's really the very first steps. And I think that beginning that self-awareness.
Yeah, absolutely. Shifting going from, individuals now to people, like it can be like a family, it can be a business, a work team, whatever. How important, like, can EQ now really bring people together and build more interaction, improve communication, and even raise the bar in leadership?
Again, it comes back to that self-awareness and really knowing, confidently knowing, what are your beliefs, what are your strengths, and bringing that into those relationships. How are you communicating to others? Are you able to effectively communicate? Do you resist communicating some thoughts and feelings with others, and how to do that productively? It has a tremendous impact on our family relationships and our professional relationships. Most definitely leadership.
Yeah.
You have a leader that cannot effectively communicate or is not able to empathize or look at the perspective of, their employees. How effective are they going to be at motivating them?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And it's something like it's very important, I guess. Like, this has got, not only the awareness, but it's got to be something that becomes part of our daily routine, and something that organizations should be incorporating in their daily routine if they're going to see the fruits of their efforts, improvement in communication, engagement, productivity, and just in general. Like, how can you now share about, like, women that are not just going, I'm shifting back again, going back to women, talking about like where they're struggling with finding their passion, or even choosing their passion, or they're just not finding fulfillment. We talked about like what are some of the things they can do, but just say that they just can't seem to connect the dots for some reason. What would be something that you would work with them on that could help them, to connect the dots and over time reach that fulfillment?
Well, it's kind of stepping back and taking that objective look of your life and where you're at, right? Looking at, what are your interests? What are you, where are you spending your time? Where do you want to be spending your time, as an example? But it's also, I think it goes deeper than, your confidence in yourself, and, how do you view yourself? How do you think others are perceiving you in certain situations? And, and just really looking at, like I said, professional women in particular, a lot of times by the time they hit late 40s, 50s, right, they've invested a lot of time and energy in their careers. Well, their focus has been there. Now it's time to shift that focus. So it's really taking a step back. And I always say, take a breath, take a deep breath. And, okay, here's where you're at. You've invested all this time. Where do you really want to be putting your time and energy? right? Because it's where we where we focus, that's where our energy is going to go, right?
Yeah.
And so it's really asking yourself, where do I want to be putting my time and energy? If I, if I had unlimited amounts of energy, where would it go? Where would I want to put majority of that energy?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's true about energy. Where we focus our energy, energy goes where it flows, and, our attention to it, and so on. No, so true. So true. And this is great what you're talking about. And in terms of the consistency, can you talk about the importance of consistency? Because a lot of times people, like, they desire change, they desire things to be different, but we don't realize that we have to do a part in it. So can you discuss a little bit about the importance of, it could be discipline too, and being consistent, of doing certain things that are going to help them to make those subtle shifts, to make those changes, and how EQ could help them do that?
It's really, any change is a step-by-step process. It's like, you can't just, a lot of times my experience, if they jump all in, it's not gonna
No, yeah, you can't do everything at once. It's not like Rome was built overnight.
exactly. Because again, you're in midlife, you've been alive
Yeah,
for
one thing at a time.
40, 50 years. It's taken you 40, 50 years to develop the habits you're at now.
Yeah.
So it's not going to happen overnight. So it's breaking it down. It's one by one. Like I said, daily routine, break it down even to morning routine, breaking that down, and having accountability, having someone to hold you accountable for that, for those changes, I think is very important too. It's really hard to make significant life changes on your own.
Yeah.
Without support of other people, without somebody, kind of holding your hand to the fire, and being willing to say, hey, what's going on? You're a little off, you've gotten off track, because it's going to happen, right? When we're under a lot of stress in particular, we tend to revert back to our old ways. So it's really important we build, as we're making these changes, we're building a very strong foundation, and really focused on, really reminding ourselves why you're doing this. Why are you making these changes?
Yeah. No, so true. So true. Yeah. It's so important. And I mean, some of the things, like in terms of on a scale of 1 to 10, like, do you feel people should, focus their time and energy on developing their EQ, especially women, because women are, like you mentioned before, more likely to be open to change more than men. And women can be really, truly inspirational for other people through their example and resource. But on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate EQ being so important in any of these roles that people, or in this case, women would have in their course of day, as a mom, a sister, running a business, whatever title that may be?
I think it's really 10. I mean,
Yeah. That was the answer I was hoping to hear.
Yeah, because it's all, like I said, it's all encompassing. It's your interactions with others, but also what's going on internally with yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. No, it's great. And when you look at, EQ, I know you've had a lot of experience, with psychotherapy, and, you're also a certified coach. Talk about the differences between, the coaching aspect when you're working with people, whether if it's an individual or women in a group, where the coaching is different from the approach of being a psychotherapist.
That's a question I get asked a lot. So in a nutshell, the difference would be, with psychotherapy, we're really focused a lot on past, right? Healing your past, as I say, healing your pain, right? And then the coaching kind of leans more into, you've healed that pain. Now you're going forward. What does that look like for you?
Yeah.
And that's really that's very simplified.
No, it just hits home. It connects the dots. I can register with that wholeheartedly, what you just shared.
Yeah. So it is, and obviously it's a different, I think with the coaching, what I love about the coaching is I'm able to really help these women in a more holistic way. and really, really kind of meet them where they are and where, what they really want to focus on. In therapy, you're a little more, restricted on what you can do and how you can go about helping people. So, there's
it's a great distinction for people that, might be looking at psychotherapy. And sometimes there's a requirement for that, depending upon if there's some of the past has to be healed. But then again, the coaching that's going to take now where you are to release it and then move forward to start achieving the things that are important in your life and your career.
Exactly. And I love both are fulfilling in a different way. But yeah, it's exactly. And I think having that, my background as a psychotherapist helps me as a coach in a lot of ways, because a lot of time I can identify pretty quickly, there's some work that needs to be done before you're ready to kind of dive into this new role, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. So true. So true. I love what you shared there and so on. And, emotional intelligence now has gotten, it's been around since the 90s, Daniel Goleman, when he wrote the book in the area, and it's really something that's really coming to light in so many different ways. Where do you see, the concept of EQ? Do you see it like really like getting involved in so many different areas, like even, just even at the highest levels, like it's not just intellectual intelligence that we can rely upon to make, important decisions and how we can make improvements and solve problems, that EQ does play a very important role to complement that, to make those happen.
It absolutely does, especially in leadership roles. And as when all our leadership roles, the higher your EQ, the more successful you are going to be as a leader, the more successful you're going to be at, really influencing people and motivating people. I think, IQ obviously gets you a long way, but if you have a low EQ, you're going to struggle in a lot of areas. And the influence on people. But I feel it's important it's across the board important. And I would love to see, amongst many other things, but in the schools, even school level, high school level or middle school level, really, focusing more on that and focusing on helping young kids develop that from a young age.
Yeah. And that's so important. If you can share some insight to that in the next few minutes, I think that's so important, like starting early, like how women can be a role model for, even though if they're midlife, their children might be still older at that point, but even just a role model for, even if they get into the phase when they have grandchildren, how they can play an important role there.
Absolutely. I think as women, right, we do influence, like you mentioned, a lot of different people, particularly, as a mom, you do have significant influence over your children. And, that shows up a lot in psychotherapy, right? But we do, we have that influence. How we're interacting with them is number one, right? Our actions speak louder than our words. So how we're going about our interactions with our children, with our grandchildren, but also teaching them, asking them questions. When you're watching a show, you can say, wow, why do you think, that character got so upset, and those types of things. So there's ways from a very young age to start helping kids identify, looking at other people's perspective, or learning about, their own emotions. How do you self-regulate your own emotions? So there's a lot and the younger, kind of like anything, the sooner you start, the more sustainable that is throughout your life, and the more you're going to see it.
So true.
That's
so true.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
No, thank you for sharing that. So true. So anything, like, I know we're getting, I wanted to make sure that, we're approaching the last couple of minutes of the show. I know that you offer retreats for women and, other things. You work with organizations in terms of this. Anything that you would like to share with the audience to kind of share some insights on what you're bringing, into, helping women at midlife, helping organizations in this area of EQ?
Yeah, so I am now getting back into hosting retreats. I had hosted them, pre-COVID. And then, so now I'm really working on developing some that I'm really excited about. And a lot of the focus is going to be on, the EQ model and EQ things. When I go into businesses, I do the assessments. I'll meet, with the team. Well, the assessments are one-on-one. They're always confidential. I don't even share the results with, your boss or your leader, so to speak. So really, helping individually, coaching them. Here's what your results were, and talking to them about their goals, and maybe given in a plan for how to start making those changes that are necessary individually, and then also as an organization, looking at where they're at and offering them suggestions on how to improve that within their teams.
Yeah, absolutely. Great suggestion. And yeah, we highly encourage everybody that is listening and those listening later, reach out to Wendie. She offers so much insight. Here you're getting a perspective from a coaching perspective in terms of moving you now away where you solve the problem towards the solution. And, from a psychotherapist point of view, and helping you to now resolve those things from the past to move forward. We highly encourage you to reach out to her. Her information will be here in the show notes. Any parting words that you would like to leave for the audience and those listening later, Wendie, if you have in about 30 seconds, anything you'd love to share, anything high impact you'd love to leave for the audience?
To share. First, I want to thank you, Christopher, for allowing me to come on. But yeah, reach out if you have any questions. But it's really important to, we only have one life. We only get to do this life one time. So you want to step into it and you want to live it confidently and as fully engaged as you can.
Wow. Awesome. Great advice. Great advice as always. Again, we encourage you to reach out to Wendie Lloyd. Again, emotional intelligence, it's been around for a long time. It's here to stay, and it's going to be one of the most important things that you could adopt and utilize each and every day to take your fulfillment and passion to the next level. Get in contact with Wendie. Thank you so much, Wendie, for taking the time to be here out of your busy schedule to join us here on Business Influencers.
Thank you, Christopher.
Well, thank you, audience, joining us each and every week. Again, we are committed to your level of influence, raising the bar, taking your business to the next level. Feel free to reach out to us at chris@christophersalem.com. And again, we're more than happy to take any information that can help you move yourself forward. And we'll make sure to bring subject matter experts like Wendie in each and every week to help raise your level of influence in your business to the next level. Till then, everybody, have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next week. Have a great day.